Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. Welcome to Jibber Jabber, the only place where background sound interrupts the introduction. I am Skajarmas, aka Toneshift, your host, and today I am joined by the author of the Change series and recurring guest, Tom117Z.
Hello.
Hades Shadow 92, Jesus' Foreskin.
Damn it.
And Neferata.
Who is
silent. Who is apparently silent today. All right. Kind of didn't say anything.
Good to know we're all prepared here.
The snark
you do
is...
speak.
Right, well...
allow me to explain that inside joke with the Jesus' foreskin that I just uttered when referring to Hades that made him facepalm with his voice.
Do we have to?
Yes, no one will get it otherwise.
Why'd you throw it in there anyway?
Because it's fucking funny!
It's dead.
No, it is not.
It's dead, Jim.
Jesus' foreskin shall never die. Spock's brain can die, but Jesus' foreskin will never die.
Okay. Well, for those who actually want to know what the hell he's talking about, me and him we're enjoying a nice game of Jackbox.
Fibbage 2, to be precise.
Fibbage 2, to be precise, excuse me, with a bunch of friends of ours here on Discord, and it got a little out of hand, I might say.
Well, except this was actually the true answer. One of the trivia questions we were asked while playing through was, at some point in the 17th century, so, the 1600s, some guy whose name I cannot remember published a paper that was odd yet strangely serious, where he hypothesized that the rings of Saturn was actually Jesus' foreskin.
And because people were ignorant and kind of a little too religious, in my opinion, back then, they actually believed it for quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And no one here and no one in that game believed that was the truth.
We all thought it was a joke.
We all thought someone typed it and it's just like, that's funny. But no, that was the truth.
I thought it was Tone for a while.
I mean, hey, it's something I would write if I could come up with that kind of shit, but my brain generally doesn't go to religious shit, except for the one instance where it said something you should not shout out in the middle of church.
Oh, yes, and there's that one. I knew that one was you, and I actually guessed right there.
Should I repeat it here?
No.
Okay. For the sake of not offending any religious people who listen, I will refrain from uttering that hilariousness.
Oh, my goodness.
So disappointing.
What a shame.
Very disappointing. I'll tell you about it after we're done here, though.
Quite an interesting little start here to Jibber Jabber, eh, Tom?
Yeah.
The one with Jesus' foreskin.
Let's talk about Jesus' foreskin for a while.
Yeah, let's not put that.
I thought the last title was amazing.
I just might, just for the clickbait.
No. Why would you do that?
Because clickbait.
The last one was let's talk about purple dragons and Luna's freaking whatever.
Luna's boners.
Purple dragons, Luna's boners,
and the new Equestria Girls movie.
Yes, that. Thank you. Speaking of, I made a video earlier called "I'm Granny Smith" that uses a clip from the new Equestria Girls movie.
I knew you were going to do something with that scene.
I saw it. Let's move on.
Oh my goodness!
I uploaded it on the same day that this video is going to go up. Sunday, the 25th of February. So you just go back and have a look if you haven't. It's something special.
Of course it is. So what are we going to talk about today, Tone?
How about the fact that I'm not going to be recording for the next 5 days? Does that sound fun? Okay, let's do it.
So tell us, why are you disappearing off the face of the internet for 5 days, Talon?
Well, I'm not disappearing off the face of the internet. Just I'm gonna stop doing reading recordings for the next until next month starts.
You have more time to torment us.
More time to torment us.
Not what I had in mind. The basic idea is I record almost every single day, so long as nothing prevents me, like losing my voice or not sleeping well enough to be in top form or missing out on supplies that actually make recording effective, like the Granny Smith apples that I have to eat before I record. They make my voice actually work a lot better when I'm recording, help keep the thing called smackle to a minimum.
Smackle.
Smackle, you know how when your mouth gets really dry and it tries to lubricate itself with saliva and it creates this really disgusting sort of sound, only much, much worse? That's called smackle, otherwise known as vocal goosh, according to the guy who I got my warm-up advice from. He posted a YouTube video in which he referred to it as vocal goosh. I sadly don't remember the name of the channel. Disappointing, but good warm-up advice. Anyways, now, as it is, I record almost every day. The only difference is Sundays, but I kind of record because we do Jibber Jabber on Sunday. So
it's only an hour. It's not that bad.
That's longer than most of my fanfic readings, mind you.
Except blanks.
Shots fired! Anyways.
I love you, Blank.
we love you. We love you, man, but Jesus Christ.
But you're not here so we can shit talk you.
Anyways, but as it is, like I was saying, I pretty much have a full 7-day work week, no days off, and this is self-imposed, but it's the only way it's how my work schedule goes.
You do this to yourself.
Kinda. A lot of it has to do with how YouTube operates. My videos wind up on YouTube, by and large, with the exception of my Soaring on Little Wings reading, though I do actually have something to point out about that later. Stay tuned. But as it is... Yes, blah, blah, blah. No one on YouTube's going to get that joke.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet, but... so, as it is... so, I've figured that I'm going to take the last 5 days of each month off, with the exception of Jibber Jabber recordings, for the sake of resting my vocal cords, resting my voice, and letting my brain cool off. Just taking 5 days to relax and make sure I'm fully prepped and ready to go when next month starts. And I did that last month. I'm going to do that this month. I'm going to do it next month. It's just going to be the pattern so that I do have days off to go to, so that I don't overly burn myself out, because that is the big, like that is like the King Sombra outside the Empire. That's like the Dark Lord Sauron and Mordor. That is the big looming threat to my own channel's productivity that I have to constantly keep an eye on, is the risk of burnout. Now, granted, last time I experienced burnout, way back with Forgiveness Pending and Full Necromancer and all them, no, I'm not continuing either of those, stop asking.
He lies, he's gonna continue them. Never stop asking.
Fuck you.
Forgiveness Pending will live again.
No, not from me at least. No,
It's a lie.
Shush. No, seriously, please stop for a second. So, now, as it is, the reason that a big contributor to that burnout was, for one thing, Forgiveness Pending wasn't as fun for me to sit down and read and enjoy anymore, on account of it was getting very long, the editing was becoming a nightmare, and numerous other reasons that just made it difficult for me to really sit down and apply myself to it as much as I had been, between the story becoming not as engaging for me due to it seeming to just drag on into a really long slog and taking forever to get to the parts I was interested in, and the chapter length itself, and also the fact that I was suffering from crippling depression at the time. All of those things sort of added up and just completely turned me off from fanfiction readings almost entirely until I started my reading of Change last year. Holy shit, it was actually a year ago at this point.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
Seems like only yesterday you came back to us with that.
I mean, I finished
story by Tom.
the sequel now.
Yeah, that's probably going to take a year too. Oh god. Oh boy, but as things stand, I do want to avoid burnout, because the last time I got my burnout back with Forgiveness Pending and Full Necromancer, I disappeared for more than 1 year. More than 1 year of complete radio silence almost on my YouTube channel. No new readings, no new content. Only occasional posts. I don't want to do a repeat of that, especially because this is my job now. This is how I earn my living, is these fan fiction readings. And it's not a living wage yet, but I'm working my way there. But if I wind up burning myself out before I can get to that point, it's not going to be a living wage at all. I'm going to be stuck with my parents for an even longer stretch of time. I found something I enjoy doing, and I want to make sure that I continue to enjoy it, because I have the philosophy that you only have the one life, and it's too short to waste the time you have doing things you don't want to do. I want to do this, and I've always been a firm believer that if you enjoy something and you can find a way to make a living out of it, an honest living, not like a cheap, like, criminal living, no, fuck that, but like an honest living, doing what you love, for fuck's sake, do it. You get only one shot. Make it count. And that's what I'm doing here.
That was so inspirational, Tom.
Was it?
I can actually
Was
tell
it really?
because I'm working my dream job right now. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand. I enjoy what I do. I love it, and I get paid to do it.
If you like your job, you don't work a day in your life. But I still want to avoid burnout because, as I said earlier, it's like the looming Sauron, the looming Sombra. I don't want to. No, don't get out of here, burnout. Go, shoo.
So when you say no, like, so no recordings or anything, does that mean like no new chapters on FimFiction either?
No, I can totally keep writing that. It's recording that I'm stopping. I don't mind if I wind up suffering burnout on my readings or on my writings, excuse me, but because I don't earn money from what I write, I earn money from what I read.
Well, technically, it's a little bit of the same, considering you're reading little glimpses.
I don't plan on doing a reading of Little Choices. I plan on filling that slot in with something else when I finally finish it.
You know, not doing choices?
At least not at the start. I mean, because Little Glimpses can stand perfectly on its own. Yes, it has a sequel, but the sequel and what I have planned for after that are.
Toy Dash.
Toy Dash.
Yes, I was kind of hoping to not have that mentioned here on YouTube because, spoiler warning, now let's just get the fucking spoiler warning out of the way. There
You really should just put a spoiler warning on every Jibber Jabber, just kind of throw it out there. Yeah, there will most likely be spoilers, warning.
I try to save the spoiler warning for when we actually get to the parts where spoilers about the stuff I do readings of, or of like big fanfics actually comes up.
How many Jibber Jabbers have we done now out of the 5 we've done?
This is number 5.
Haven't had spoilers in it.
None.
None.
But I've generally saved my spoiler warnings until we were actually at the spoilery stuff. Is the idea.
As you wish, Twilight Sparkle. I mean, Tone Shift.
Huh?
You've got a little bit of Twilight in you.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah, he's got that little bit of.
Hey, Tom. That means I'm part best pony.
No.
I love how Tom just says no.
Okay, but yes, there's your spoiler warning for Little Glimpses, Little Choices, and any other stories I happen to be doing readings of.
Twidash is a thing.
Yeah.
You're mistaken, Neff. He doesn't have Twilight in him. He has Starlight.
That actually probably is closer, yeah.
I'd say Starlight might be a little better.
Because I am very socially overdramatic. And I don't always
Does that come with a desire to... And does that come with a desire to conquer by making everyone equal?
No.
No.
Only on Saturdays.
He just conquers us to make us sad.
It's only on Saturdays, so it's fine today.
Oh my god.
But no, speaking of sequels, Tom, will there be a next story after the Queen of the Hive?
Yes.
Will you be doing a reading of that, Tone?
Probably.
Change Avia Stars after Soaring is done, at which point Fallout Equestria Waters Change will be moved to the secondary slot, which was like Friday-Saturday.
Ooh, are you gonna do a reading of War?
Probably not. At least not for a good long while. I've got my plate full. All right.
It's not
Aww.
like War's going to be finished for a good long while anyway. I'm 6 chapters in out of 52, so, you know.
Indeed.
I mean, the Monday-Tuesday slot currently has changed Queen of the Hive, and I am expecting that's probably going to take the better part of the entirety of this year to finish, because of I only record a chapter each day. So Monday and Tuesday, that's 2 chapters a week for Change Queen of the Hive. So I'm not exactly far in right now. It's going to take me a good long fucking time to actually get anywhere.
So what's next after Little Glimpses is done?
I don't know, but I'll keep my eyes out. Something a bit shorter is the goal, though. So like something closer in length to Spark Visions of Twilight by Tangerine Blast. That one was shorter, more like 14, 15 or so chapters. Not super long. Something I could finish in only a month or so and call it good. Something with not as high of a turnover rate or commitment line. Something that will just be easier to get through. And, of course, after I get caught up with all of Blank Page's stuff in the Wednesday slot, I am planning on filling in that slot until he updates those stories, of course, with one-shots, the more recent popular one-shots. Like, I plan on doing a reading of Celestia's Smitten Swan when I'm all caught up with all that stuff.
Luna's gay all day.
Maybe.
Yes. You must.
We'll see. All right, we'll see.
Kiss.
Even if he did end up doing War's Change, he'd probably be much longer video than normal, because every single chapter of that so far has been unusually long compared to what I usually write. I mean, the chapter released today was 5,000 words compared to the usual 2,000.
Yeah, I noticed. I read it.
I think it just because writing Stripe was very fun.
I need to get caught up, but I am interested to see what you did with Stripe. That sounds fun. I saw the comments. I saw the comments though, and people are like, "Oh, what is that?
Ooh, what is that?
It's a sniper. Where did they come from?"
Me. All right.
She likes the word foolish.
Foolish. Oh my.
She's a zebra. That's not how they talk.
I don't know if they actually have a different vocal pattern from Zecora or not as far as Fallout Equestria goes by and large, because I never actually got to the point where they've shown up in the base Fallout Equestria yet.
They don't rhyme, but they have that kind of accent. Like, the rhyming is entirely Zecora's own personal thing.
I'm hearing crickets all of a sudden.
Yeah, most of...
Is anyone else hearing the crickets?
It's not coming through anybody's, but...
I can hear it.
That's weird.
The rhyming is entirely Zecora's, but we've not seen any other Zebrians or Zebra ever use
We're
it.
talking in the context of Fallout Equestria. In Fallout Equestria, we've seen Zebra. They had the same accent as Zecora, but none of them rhyme. That was entirely Zecora's kind of personal thing.
None of the others rhyme. Zenith doesn't rhyme. None of them in
Not
Horizons
Lancer, not Zephyr, not
Takashi.
Well, I don't know who any of those characters are, so you may stop now because I'm still working my way through the original Fallout Equestria. I'm a slow motherfucker, I get it.
You'll never
half of those
finish it.
Horizons. So.
I will eventually. Now, on another topic, I mentioned earlier that I had something to say about Soaring on Little Wings, my reading of that. So let me take care of that really quick. As some of you out there may or may not know, my reading of Soaring on Little Wings is a Patreon exclusive. I only posted the prologue here on YouTube to basically... I'm talking, Neff. So, as I was saying... My reading of Soaring on Little Wings is a Patreon exclusive. I only posted the prologue here on YouTube basically as an advertisement. Now, I don't want to be that guy who withholds all of anything with the intent of getting patrons. Eventually, everything I put up on that Patreon page is going to come to YouTube. And I think I finally figured out how I'm going to do it with Soaring and further Patreon exclusive readings. Mainly, those readings, the way I'll do it is I'll finish them on the Patreon itself, but then once they're finished, I'll then follow up by posting each chapter one a day on a daily basis, schedule them all so that it's just a straight shot of so for Soaring on Little Wings, it would be 4 to 6 weeks of just daily chapters just coming out. So that now it's still going to take me several months to get to that point. I'm not even halfway through the reading on Patreon, and it's going to take me a good long while to reach that point because I only read a chapter in that each week, and I don't always get to either because of, for any number of reasons. So it's going to take a good long while, but I just figured I'd put that out there. When that's done, it will come to YouTube, but only when it's done, not a day sooner.
Tom, have you finished writing that yet?
No.
I'm about to say, last time I checked, it wasn't even complete on his writing part.
It's not, yes. But he seems to be pretty fucking reliable when it comes to updating, which is why I made the exception there.
Like 1 a week, and Soaring has a little over 15 chapters left. Actually, let me check how many chapters it's got left exactly.
You said 45, and you're on 37, I think. So
I can check that now.
So a little less than 15, something.
I'm about to say, how often do you update all your stories?
13 chapters. 13 chapters left.
13 chapters.
It'll be 12 weeks because the chapter 44 and 45, which the epilogue, will come out the same week as usual.
Remember, this is a fan-based parody. Please support the official release.
Why did you say that?
What?
Neff, what was the context of that?
For myself.
You're kind of cutting out a lot, so
Yeah. I was saying, Tom, how often do you update stories on FimFiction? Because I saw War is updated like every week or something.
But all my stories are updated weekly.
Yeah,
all of them update weekly.
Yeah,
my
and
God,
I'm currently doing 2. I do 2 at a time.
Yeah, he just updates them on different days.
God,
Soaring's either Friday or Saturday, depending on how I'm feeling, because university. Usually Friday if I can help it, and then every single Sunday is Fallout currently.
That's quite a lot of writing.
Yes.
And of course I can just pump out a chapter every other day.
But yeah, well, I don't know that luxury.
Your stuff is more or less a lot shorter than his, Tone.
Our average chapter lengths are about the same.
Single day?
For Soaring, anyway.
Every other day, Neff.
For
Every
Soaring,
other day.
For Soaring, yeah, but for Fallout, yeah, no.
And Change. His average chapter length there is about 2,000.
Yeah. The reason why Fallout Quest is ending up being such longer chapters is because it's first person. That's really the reason why. A lot more description goes into that because you're getting all of the 5 senses.
I know.
Yeah.
I know where the crickets are coming from. They're Neff.
Sorry.
There's something on Neff's end.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. There they are again.
Okay.
What kind of mic are you using, Neff?
It's something that doesn't operate right, or that has problems with the internet connection. Who knows?
Still working out the bugs of the mic. This thing's new, only 36 hours old, so it's still being ironed out.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you were still having that problem before you upgraded to the new mic, so I think it's an internet
bugs
issue.
In the mic turned into literal bugs in the mic.
Oh God.
They do sound like crickets, but no.
Yeah.
All right. So what's our next topic?
Well, how about the worst thing? I'm currently looking at the general discussion chat right now, and there's a freaking dabbing robot in my face. So thanks for that.
Oh yeah, that would be your daily dose of internet. If you have not heard of that YouTube channel, go look it up. YouTube. It is some awesome stuff.
He spams those videos on here all the time.
They're so fun though. They're interesting. If nothing else, they're just fun to watch.
There's a dabbing robot, and it distresses me.
Oh my!
That one is distressing, but there are plenty of entertaining things on there. Like
I think that would be even funnier.
Like a volcano that spews rainbow-colored fire that actually exists.
Yes.
Yeah, I forget exactly where it is, but somewhere in the world there's like a very volcanic area, and the stuff it secretes all across mixes with chemicals in the area that gives the fire all sorts of colors, mostly very vibrant ocean blues, but other colors like green or purple show up too, as I understand it. So you get like basically a full-blown fucking rainbow of color in fire, a fire prism.
Why do I feel like we should see something like that in Equestria?
We probably will sooner or later. I mean, we already have the sound barrier being broken and the light spectrum breaking along with it whenever Rainbow Dash goes fast enough. So,
and then there's Rainbow Falls.
Rainbows are just straight up a physical thing.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
Equestria kind of takes it a little too far, in my opinion.
Pink, fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.
You had to bring that back, didn't you, Tom?
Fudor!
God damn it, Tom.
Flufflepuff is amazing.
Boy, here we go.
I should fit with Chrissy. Like, that's what they should do. They should just the show pony should just break up the universal barrier, get a version of Flufflepuff, find a Chrysalis, and just have a tactical Flufflepuff. So
No. Here's what they should do. They should make a Flufflepuff, and then they should go and capture Chrysalis, and then bring Chrysalis to Flufflepuff, and Flufflepuff is just standing right next to a big box of pillows called the Fun Cave.
and then sex happens.
And then throw Chrysalis in there with Flufflepuff, and when they come out, she's reformed.
I mean, in one of the episodes, you literally had Flufflepuff drag her in there to close up, and then there was giggling inside. So you know,
Oh, no.
it doesn't really much what happened in that.
No, guys,
They
I got it.
fucked. Yes.
I got it.
Put that image in my head, bro.
It's going to be brilliant. You make another little deal for the Idiocyverse. Discord and Discord Dose grabs Chrysalis from Change, Chrysalis from Bug in the Herd, drops them in a room with just Flufflepuff and see what happens.
Oh.
They'd fight over Flufflepuff.
It would be a massacre.
I mean, should we? Tom, what do you think?
We'll talk about this later. Still,
Very well.
Actually, I'm not thinking how my Chrysalis would react. Like, your Chrysalis would definitely just go after the Flufflepuff because yours is basically Can and Chrissy. I'm not entirely sure how mine would react, aside from what the fuck is this?
I mean, Can and Chrissy, who happens to be kind of tsundere towards, I'm kind of ashamed to admit this now, but my OC.
It's his waifu.
To be fair, the tone shift in that
would be a bad idea.
To be fair, the tone shift in the Bug in the Herd is somewhat different from me. For one thing, the tone shift in the Bug in the Herd has absolutely no love of writing. I do. He actually has some
voice actor.
Yeah, he has some physical coordination and is actually physically strong. I'm not. He happens to be good at improvising. Usually, I'm terrible at improvising if I realize I'm improvising.
And yet, look at all of our Jibber Jabbers so far.
Yeah, but generally speaking, I'm not thinking about that. We just go. And I have people to bounce shit off of.
So that tone shift's become your icon, while mine's just a bug horse.
Yeah, my icon on filmfiction.net, in case anyone didn't know this, is right now a very sleepy and disgruntled tone shift suffering from insomnia.
See, it is him.
Sounds like someone that would be associated with Twilight and or a Changeling Hive.
Changeling Twilight.
As of right now, I actually... okay, some spoilers for little choices. Nothing overly extreme. But just going to list off 4 names because I realize none of you have actually gotten to this point yet. So I'm just going to list off 4 names and then we can move on. Thorax, Pharynx, Stinger, and Spiracle. There we go. Let's move on.
Thorax and Pharynx?
Pharynx.
Pharynx.
Yeah, Thorax is dick of a brother.
Oh my goodness.
Spherical.
Isn't that a little early to be throwing them in there?
Well, they're part of the hive.
And the
you know,
top.
they've already...
I mean, Hades is only on the first few chapters, so I mean, he doesn't really understand the context behind all of that yet. So
I've got to the point
it's a
where
secret anus.
I kind of do.
Shh, it's a secret
Oh.
anus.
See? We can keep your secret.
Eh. What the fuck?
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Everyone dies because he's an utter bastard. As he's.
No, that's the
in that
Fiends
very-
trilogy.
Yeah, that's the Fiends trilogy. I can't really kill people en masse in the series that little choices and little glimpses are part of. I need a name for that series. Like an actual title for the series as a whole. I have the Fiends trilogy title, that's obvious, but I don't have one for this. So I'm open to suggestions from you guys if you've got anything. Just like type them in chat or something. I'll look at them after the show.
Glam does a time travel.
Fuck that.
No,
That,
I really think
that sounds like an Idiocyverse story.
Yeah.
I really think that one of the Queen Chrysalis characters from either Change or Bug in the Herd should really get their own talk show and just, complain or even just whatever's on her mind.
Like what? We get Cardis and complain about all the stuff he did as Captain of the Guard?
I mean, I could, in theory, do that if I wanted to jump through a fuck ton of hoops to get my live filters running again, but I don't really want to do that.
Nowadays, he must be complaining how he's not in the guard anymore because,
Indeed.
spoiler alert, he's crippled.
Yes, yes, I am very, very crippled, and it bugs me immensely. Let's move on.
Enough to do puns, apparently.
And then, of course.
Oh,
he
for
just goes-
fuck's sake! I just realized what I said.
He's so unintentional.
I thought it was
It's so
deliberate.
funny.
No, it was not deliberate. It was not. Oh shit! Oh fuck! Oh god! Oh man! Oh shit! Oh, I broke something. Oh.
I think we broke him, Tom.
No, I'm fine.
It's not racist if their bugs do it on themselves.
It was very punny.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna live that down now.
Never gonna live that down. We're never gonna let you forget it.
Just like how I never let Tom forget the fact that sex happened, and that he had to frickin' update his rating as a result. And then I posted the perfect fucking picture. And then they fucked. The little sparkle in her eye, her mouth hanging open. She looked like she had just understood the universe itself. Nah, they were just having sex on a bed. Scissor, 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 scissor.
God damn it, Tom.
Okay.
No, I just insinuate and I'm all tactful about it, and it's a really nice, cute, romantic scene, and then we have Tone going, and then they scissored.
But what else would they have even done aside from tonguing each other?
Oh, I'm sure they got creative.
Turns out Mr. Gus is really freaky in bed and has dildos out the ass. Literally.
God, why? Oh,
Okay. Let's stop. Let's stop with that. Let's.
Bear in mind,
This is
that
all you're
Hades is still the point in the fic where Little Wing's still a kid. So,
Oh, shit.
This is all.
Oh, shit.
I just got caught up with his readings on Patreon. Yeah, so that's about as far as I am.
And the crickets are back.
And the crickets.
So he hasn't gotten to that part yet.
I got to the point where I'm sorely disappointed that that one cult did not get punched.
Yeah,
I'll give it time.
just some
Give it
silver
time.
poisoning. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You did put that when you posted that. That was hilarious.
Silver poisoning?
Silver poisoning.
Yes.
Over poisoning.
Yee.
Have you read the latest chapter of Soaring on the Wings, Brian?
Yes.
Yes.
Didn't I comment?
No.
Oh.
I was expecting you to do something related to the ending there.
Oh.
Door related.
Nah.
Reaction. How does she feel about her current situation, I wonder? Let's ask her.
Which character are you talking about? There are several she's.
Like, let's say, what's the context for that, Neff?
You just kind of keep dropping stuff on us out of nowhere.
Yeah, I just try to figure, reaction to her friendship, but then again, possibly her possible rivals.
What me and Brian were talking about was the end of the latest chapter, where, well, I could say, but that would be spoilers for Hades, unless he doesn't mind.
And shoot, it's gonna take me freaking forever to get there anyway.
Well, just basically, Mama Dash.
Mama Dash. Oh
Yeah.
shit!
Oh, I totally forgot that fucking happened. Oh, okay.
Yes, literally, that was the entire point of the chapter.
I
Aside from
know,
setting up what's going to happen the next one. But
Yeah, I know,
my.
but somehow I forgot because I was more thinking about other things, like the stuff that was being discussed at the start.
you were too busy, just like wanting that to happen, huh?
I was too
Say
busy.
you-
I was too busy imagining the songs of wedding bells. So
Yeah, that's what you're imagining.
Now
Well,
we get
do you
to see the.
do you want me to
now we
read
get
the
to
chapter
see
title? Do you want me to read
wings
you
in her
a sneak peek?
habitat.
one at a
That's the
time.
chapter title.
One at a time.
That.
Neff, go. Say something.
See the anti-little wings in her natural habitat.
Auntie Little
What?
Wing.
That's a thing?
Is it a thing, Tom?
I don't think so.
Do they go Torb instead of Bois?
Why couldn't you bring back the Bois?
I have no
The
idea.
Bois are plentiful. There's one just in this chapter.
Blah 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 blah. You're welcome. Someone remix that.
Dear mother of God.
But yeah, I said, and what I was saying was, do you want a sneak peek with the chapter titles for chapter 34 and chapter 35?
Who's that directed at? Is that me?
Well, all of you, because this is Soaring on Little Wings. The next
Okay.
one's 33, but chapter 34 is Until Death, and chapter 35 is Do Us Part.
We get a wedding. We get to hear those bells. Huh?
I am very worried.
Considering
Well, I don't
Tom,
know.
though, I'm sure there's something that's gonna go wrong.
If it's broken up like that, that tells me, yay, we're happy, we're all happy and amazing, and oh shit, someone's dead.
I have a good feeling that either Little Wing or Misty Gus is gonna bite it.
I mean, I don't know.
I do.
Well, of course you do. You're the writer.
My money's on Misty Gus biting a bullet.
And you call me an utter bastard.
I never said anything about Misty Gus dying. I never
I-
said anything about anyone dying.
My
But they
money is on Little Wing, and we get the return of what's her face.
Penumbra.
Yes.
I
And
Well,
like
yeah.
like she said at the beginning.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is Little Wing ever going to go through the portal to the human world by accident or on purpose?
I
and if
never
she-
intended it, though it might be brought up at some point because eventually it will come around that her past is.
Oh, there's awkward right there. Equestria
Yeah.
Girl's Little Wing.
Like, just put her through that, she can go find her parents and flip them and say, fuck you. Yeah, see, I grew up into something amazing. Now,
She's
bye.
not from, but she's not from the Equestria Girls version of
I'd say
Earth.
that's a
She's
completely
from
different
our
universe, Tom.
Oh, right. I kind of figured it would be a decent way to get her some catharsis on
There
this
is
whole
there is no
plot.
version. Yeah, because there is no version of Emma in Equestria or on Equestria Girls version of Earth. She has no counterparts here.
Fair
She's
enough.
technically not
Right.
from there.
Right, fair enough. My brain shut off on that particular concept for a second. My bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been awkward if Penumbra brought her through and there was already a version of her, you know?
She
I'm
just-
There was
curious.
already a Little Wing.
Neff.
A pony, is born in Equestria. Earth Equestria Girl's counterpart. But that rule is broken with Little Wing because she wasn't born in Equestria. She was
Well,
elsewhere, yes.
she was her new body. Her original body is probably rotting underground somewhere on Earth. Her new one was created.
Yeah.
So did Penumbra literally create it from nothing, or?
Well, there's some magical process, and honestly, I had it kind of in my head that technically, at least in terms of body, Penumbra might have used her own DNA, so technically be Little Wing's biological mother, even though not really, because because there are a lot of complicated things going that her real original mother is a bitch and human.
Indeed. I want to see like more about what Penumbra is. I mean, other than just
being of death.
We've seen her every 10 chapters when a milestone happens in Little Wing's life, each one further and further apart in time-wise.
She keeps popping up places, and I'm starting to wonder if she's just constantly watching her.
Chapter 40, Penumbra.
She made an investment.
Like she said,
Devil's gonna get her
the
due.
next time there will be a price.
Devil will get her due in the end. It's inevitable.
It takes a while, but remember, there is the drama tag, so things have been all, happy for quite some time now. Aside from a few punches between.
And an epic ass kicking at one point, but yeah.
Ooh.
With tears and forgiveness and all that.
And hugs! I just hugged my microphone. I shouldn't have done that.
Why did you do it? Neff, what were you saying?
Question.
Shoot.
Go through the portal to Equestria Girl's Earth. How would Rainbow's counterpart there react to Little Wing telling her, it's like, hey, I'm your sister?
Well, one thing, if Little Wing tried to go through the portal, she probably would just come out as a pony on the other side because she didn't have a counterpart on the other side to turn into. So the portal wouldn't really know what to do with her.
You got a point there.
One thing. And two, even if she did have this little tiny pony come up to her saying, hey, on the other side, I'm your adopted sister, Rainbow Dash on that side would be like, cool.
It's going to be like Luna and Trixie go to the pound again.
Do not give the Princess of the Night kibbles.
The night scares Trixie.
As it should.
That was one of my favorite lines. Night scares Trixie.
No, my favorite line was Luna just going, and that's just what happens when you give the Princess of the Night, matron of the God, I can't even remember. Matron of Dreams and Nightmare of the Moon kibbles.
Yeah.
We don't get paid enough for ghosts.
She haunted them. She haunted them hard.
I just love how, like, for the first line Fluttershy spoken that Fig was completely in character, and to the rest of it, she's a freaking psychopath because she's been triggered hard.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm about to say I've never heard Fluttershy quite portrayed like that.
And the ending where she just she breaks all the animals in the pound down and just exits amongst them laughing maniacally.
Ouch.
It is.
Again, I've never seen her
Really
portrayed
scary.
like that. It's tone.
Honestly, scary.
It caught me off guard when Tom had Fluttershy go, are you fucking kidding me?
So wait, that wasn't you? That was Tom?
That was me.
And then I realized I get to record this. I get to read this out loud for an audience.
When you both wrote that, was it like basically like half and half with it, or did one of you mostly write and the other?
The way it generally works is one of us comes up with the concept, the other pitches in, and then we both sit down in a Google Doc and just bounce back and forth writing. And if we have an idea for adding something, say, oh, hey, hold up, I got an idea. And then we type it out, and if the other likes it, we keep it. If they think it could work better another way, they make the change, and then it goes back and forth when we discuss it. And otherwise, we just keep it going and just bouncing back and forth where appropriate.
An example, switcheroo, there was originally no cell-fucking involved.
And then Tom just threw it in there.
Brian just saying, poke me, poking, and then just going weird from there.
That I'm gonna have to do a reading of that when I finish my reading of Little Glimpses.
Yes, and I'm still looking forward to it.
Oh God, I just realized I actually have to do that. I am obligated because it's the fucking Idiocy verse. And I don't think
You're
I've missed
obligated.
and I don't think I've missed a single reading in the Idiocy verse. The
You
only
have
the only
not.
the only one that's not on YouTube is the Death Altar in Twilight's Basement, and that's because that was a Patreon exclusive.
Will that go on YouTube eventually? You said you were going to throw Patreon exclusives on
I mean,
YouTube
it's
eventually.
made it Patreon exclusive for quite some time now, so when you start this one-shot thing, it could go off as one of them.
You could do that.
Maybe we'll see. I'll think about it after we're done here and figure out what I'll do with that. I have no idea what we're gonna call this episode of Jibber Jabber.
Let's just talk shit for a while.
I mean,
Maybe we should call it "Let's Talk Shit," including Little Wings, because we brought her up quite often.
yeah, we did. We could do that. We could also, I could just go with the original plan and just call it Jesus' Foreskin.
No. You are
Even-
not allowed to put that on there.
Am I allowed to put the annual ejaculation long shot competition, though?
Absolutely not.
Well, story time. I need to give some context for that.
Nope.
Yes.
No.
Shut up. You're not involved in this anymore.
I am quite involved considering I was there.
I can mute you.
Fuck.
You're abusing your powers. I've
Fine.
been abused.
For the sake of a joke in a single episode of Jibber Jabber, I can do that. Anyways.
Fuck.
Abused.
God, what the fuck? That sounded weird. All right.
Get on with it.
All right. So, this also happened while we were playing the Jackbox yesterday. Fibbage 2.
Was it Fibbage?
Yeah, I think so, yes. It was Fibbage. Something came up, asked about like a sport or something that was being introduced to something. Like an activity of some description that was a part of something. And it was, I forget the exact context of that particular item, but one of us gave the answer, the ejaculation long shot competition, as what was added to this annual thing. I think it was an Irish thing. I don't know, and I don't want to assume because some of my ancestry is in Ireland, and I don't want to insult my people.
Top of the morning to you, laddie.
Yes, the Jacksepticeye and all that.
Let's go for generic Irishman, but sure, Jacksepticeye.
Well, I mean, that's his intro. Top of the morning to you, laddies, and all that shit that I will not repeat because I am not Jacksepticeye. I am me.
Indeed.
But
So, yes.
and it kept coming up too. Is what made it funny. So did Jesus' Foreskin, by the way. But
Okay, that technically was the game that gave us that. This one, someone actually just came up with, and I swear, tell them that wasn't you, right?
I don't think so. No, it wasn't me. My mind's dirty, but it's not that bad. Usually.
I can't quite remember who that was. I have a few ideas.
All I know for sure is that it kept coming up after that. I did actually put it down once because no one else was like, I gotta put this down because no one else is doing it. And I think someone else actually did it at the same time too because someone the previous round said, I'm surprised no one put down the ejaculation long shot competition this round. So me and someone else did it next round, and they overlapped because that's what happens in Fibbage.
God damn it.
Yes.
So yes, that is what that is coming from, and it will not be coming up again. So thank you. Moving on.
I make no promises.
Of course you don't.
I never make promises anywhere, anytime, ever.
Oh, you do.
Well,
You always keep them.
Well, I mean, promising that I'm going to make your guys' lives a living hell by torturing your favorite characters and the stories I write, it's not quite the same. Because I don't have to finish those stories to meet those promises. I only need to write a one-shot to do that. Mother is a perfect fucking example.
Mother.
The creepy story.
It was creepy. And then you kind of threw that in there with Journey of Mist,
the Journal of Morning Mist, yeah.
Journey of Morning Mist, yeah.
Who doesn't love Eldritch Abominations?
Lovecraftian horror has got to be my favorite kind of horror. I love it so much.
And that's why you love Bloodborne so much.
Never been over. I've actually never been overly fond of Lovecraftian horror, to the point where there's one fic I've been reading on fan fiction, which is called A Question Changing Queen, which is about Princess Celestia having been replaced by a changing queen immediately after Night and Moon, called Alternia. And she's basically the Celestia from the show we know, while the real Princess Celestia is honestly kind of a cold,
She's cunt.
very nice person. Well, not entirely. She's just quite cold.
So where
You
is
remember
this
how
other-
Sunset marked
so
on a
where
recent
is this
special
other-
Princess?
So where
about-
is this other Celestia?
I'll get there.
Yeah.
But remember how Sunset remarked in the recent special Princess Celestia didn't have a humor back when she was a student?
Indeed.
Imagine that, and that's kind of what the Celestia of that story is. But basically, what happened, Alternia in that story is Chrysalis is one of three of Chrysalis's sisters, who, on the same night that Celestia and Luna fought and Night and Moon was banished, Chrysalis betrayed both Alternia and their mother, killed their mother, and mortally wounded Alternia. Something that would actually turn out later on to have haunted Chrysalis for a very long time after that, because she had a massive "what have I done" moment afterwards.
Okay.
But Alternia was teleported away by her drones at the last minute. They kind of sacrificed themselves for her, where she ended up in the castle with two sisters, with the intention being that they might be able to help her. Of course, Night and Moon incident had just happened, and Celestia was really fucked up from the fight. She was practically dead already. So they made a deal. Like, Celestia needed to do a really in-depth healing trance thing, which would last centuries, if not 1,000 years. And Alternia needed somewhere to,
Hide from Chrysalis.
hide from Chrysalis, as well as plot her revenge. That was her original complete motivation for making this deal with Celestia, to watch over her country, with basically in return, Alternia, if she ever found Chrysalis, could use the armed forces of Equestria to completely wipe them the fuck out and kill Chrysalis.
And
1,000 years later. And she said,
and yet the wedding happened.
yeah, which is like 1,000 years past. It kind of, she kept plotting her revenge, though over those centuries for Alternia, they became less of a tool and more. She kind of fitted into the role. She came to care for them as if they were her own hive. And then the wedding happened, pretty much exactly as the episode, but then the love blast. And
Yeah.
Celestia was, or not Celestia, was in range of it. She didn't get blasted out of the capital like all the others, but her disguise was completely destroyed, which resulted in them thinking she was another infiltrator and trying to catch her.
And then the real Celestia woke up.
At the very end of the story, because a lot of things, the original one is one of my favorite stories on film fiction. It's a lot of political intrigue, because they find out at the very beginning she's a changing queen. They're trying to stepping on eggshells, trying to stop a war between Equestria and Chrysalis, because even though she hates Chrysalis for what she did, doesn't want her ponies to suffer. But eventually, Chrysalis, things aren't as simple as they seem. Chrysalis and Alternia reconcile. Alternia is mortally wounded by someone, which will end up revealing her identity to the entire damn country. They end up locating Celestia, who helps out and saves her life, and then retakes the throne. But the original point I was making about Eldritch Abominations is the sequel to that, Equestria Changing Queen and the Abyssal Empress, which starts out of similar tone, if a bit darker than the original, but like about halfway through, completely kind of, for me anyway, kind of jumped the shark in introducing massive Eldritch Abominations that were basically Cthulhu.
Well, yeah,
And ritual sacrifice and whatnot, and mind controlling entire population.
I can understand why that would be off-putting. Massive tone shifts like that would be kind of puns. Massive tone shifts like that would be kind of jarring for most readers, and especially if it's such a sudden jump from political intrigue to Lovecraftian horror, especially since Lovecraftian horror is kind of hard to do right. And I speak from experience on this. I've tried to write some Lovecraftian horror, and I have no idea if I did it justice or not, because it's hard to tell how much information is enough to give without letting it feel like you are leaving plot holes. Because the whole idea of Lovecraftian horror is dealing with the unknowable, stuff that is beyond you in so many ways that you can't even hope to fathom it, to comprehend what you're dealing with beyond that it's there. That it's there and that you are unthinkably insignificant in comparison. The whole idea is to leave you asking questions, but you have to give clues and hints, just enough information so that you have a basic understanding of what you're looking at, but you gotta leave a lot of questions unanswered and a lot of mysteries, and you have to do it in just the right way, because if you do it wrong, then chances are you're gonna screw up. But humans are afraid of the unknown. That's just an invariable. Humans, at least humans that still have the capacity to feel fear, ones that weren't born with a mental deficiency that breaks down their emotions, they're afraid of the unknown, of what's different, of what they don't understand. A lot of people pursue to understand things through curiosity, but other people will just want to destroy what they don't know or understand because they're afraid of it. And that's kind of the whole linchpin of Lovecraftian horror, cosmic horror, eldritch horror. They're all synonymous with each other, is what you don't understand. That fear of the unknown is the whole idea. But it's hard to do right, because if you give too much information, then you're not leaving things unknown. But if you don't give enough information, you're leaving glaring plot holes. I think... And it's also a very niche thing, sort of cramming it into something else where it wasn't initially that way. Like, if your story is going to have Lovecraftian horror in it, the story itself pretty much has to be Lovecraftian horror. I mean, the only case I can think of where the story itself wasn't completely Lovecraftian horror but had Lovecraftian elements was the Mass Effect trilogy. Because, let's be clear here, the Reapers were basically Lovecraftian creatures. So,
Yeah, true. It had elements, but it wasn't itself Lovecraftian horror.
Yeah.
It just had elements of it. The thing is with the story, it just kind of came out of left field. Like, initially, the sequel starts off with basically you have sea ponies, but you also have like a sea version of the changeling, which are kelpies, and they're even deadlier than changelings. And it kind of, as well as dealing with the rest of the changeling hives and all that, there's kind of an alliance going on with Equestria. You also had the Kelpie Queen kind of taking over Equestria, as it's called in the story, where in canon it's called Sequestria. And it was initially it was more an expansion on the original, like expanding the world, but still kind of that same political intrigue and trying to, with a bit of occasional bit of action here and there. But it was kind of continuing the themes of the original at first, and then about halfway through, you have this strange old god turn up, and also the Kelpie Queen turns out to be like a priestess of it or something. It's just really out of nowhere.
And I can understand why that would be jarring and turn you off from the rest of the genre, but Lovecraftian horror, if done right, can be some of the best damn horror that there ever was. I mean, they
killed.
Go ahead.
I'm saying, and like also the halfway point when they started the Lovecraftian elements, they also start killing off some of the characters we've been seeing throughout the fic as well, quite brutally. Like Raven, who's a canon character, at one point she got hit with a spell, fell into a group of Kelpie and got torn to pieces.
Yeesh.
And she was a character in both fics as well, and it was kind of another thing that was once again out of nowhere. So I've read most of it, though kind of haven't finished it yet because it just hasn't been as enjoyable as the original because of that.
Right. I can understand that. Sudden tone shifts like that that just come out of nowhere without proper foreshadowing or explanation. It definitely can definitely be a big turnoff because you think you're signing up for one thing and then suddenly you're getting something else.
Which was a shame. Like I need to get through it at some point because there is going to be another story at some point, third one, which is apparently going to be more in line with the original on the first half of the second one, and I kind of want to read that and the continuation, but it just means getting through the final kind of Lovecraftian stuff, which just gets really heavy right at the very end, that I'm not particularly keen on, which is a bummer, but oh well.
Yeah, well. With that thought and that closing sentiment on that whole thing, don't completely alt-right tone shift your stories without proper foreshadowing or explanation. it is time for us to end this episode of Jibber Jabber. Thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube and the internet. And we will see you next time. So, once again, thanks for tuning in. Keep an open mind, keep your ears open, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bruh.